Hey everybody, welcome to PixelBlips podcast. I'm Andy Ryan. Joining me as always, Dave DeWart, my co-host. So something big happened a few days ago, and that something big was the internet beat Pokemon.
Collectively, not just one guy, because one guy could have done it in a day or two. It took everybody in the Twitch chat stream anarchy that was Twitch Plays Pokemon. They beat it in, I think it was like 17 days or something.
16 days and like a chunk of hours.
Yeah,
not totally 17 days.
But it was, you know, it took forever. And just if you had checked in on that stream at all, you could just see the craziness of like not just the
like stuff doesn't make sense. Now what happened basically is someone built a text parser that would parse right, left, up, down, A
and B, start and select, I believe, as well as then they add, you know, once they got through that part, right?
Yeah.
They were like, okay, this is craziness. We can't have this. So then they added in anarchy and democracy. So anarchy would be it text parses everything, and democracy would be it reads it all, and then it's like, okay, this is the most popular thing in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, these are the most, like, up is the most possible command.
Yeah. So it was
Which
more
was
like,
much better to watch.
yeah, because just having your little guy go back and right, back and, you know, back and forth, and then start, and then looking at the fossil.
Yeah, looking at the fossil.
That was like 3 hours.
We'll talk about the fossil later. So what they, you know, basically, if you've never played the first generation of Pokemon, or now that I think about it, any of the Pokemons, because they all have the same basic story.
Yeah.
You have to get all the badges, and then go down Victory Road.
And beat all of the master trainers.
Beat all the master trainers.
And then your rival.
And then your rival.
Yeah.
Which, I don't remember what they called their rival.
I think it was just blue, because it was like a weird hacked version of red.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, the basic names are red and blue for that. So. I don't know what it was in green, though. Would you be able to choose red, blue, or like Gary?
The basic name in yellow is red.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can choose red, ash, or put your own in.
Huh, okay.
You know Ash Ketchum?
Yeah, I remember.
So when that kind of like hits on like the bigger metaphysical thing about Pokemon and in our culture at this point is that we are, I collect retro video games, so we deal a lot in bubbles and price, you know, and
price fluctuations and
fluctuations and market values. And we're right on the beginning of what I call the Pokemon bubble. Basically, these bubbles happen at 10 years out of its original publication date and at 20 years out from its original publication date. So if you've been keeping track with your calendars at home, we are on the cusp
of the second bubble.
The second bubble is normally the bigger bubble. The big NES and Nintendo bubble was about, let's see, we're at 2014 now. I always have to remember I'm getting old.
Yeah.
We're at 2014 now. The big NES Nintendo bubble was about 6 to 8 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
now we're in
the
a
NES
Super
came
Nintendo bubble, and we're beginning to, like, my advice when people say, what do you want to start collecting? I want to start collecting today. And I'm like, do you want to collect to play or do you want to collect for investment? And if they say investment, I say buy Nintendo 64. Yeah. Because Nintendo 64 is the next bubble.
And they're fairly cheap. A lot of those games are under $10.
Yeah. So the next bubble. But we're at the cusp of the Pokemon bubble. Also, not so much in prices, but in cultural awareness, the Pokemon bubble is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, you thought it was big when the TV show and the game came out here.
It's not going to be that big.
It's not going to be like that big. It's going to be like, you know, I think Nintendo's giving away X and Y whenever you register a new 3DS.
And a game. One of their select games.
And one of their select games. Yeah. As long as it's not X or Y, you're in the green, right?
No, there's only 5 titles.
I know.
And it's not like... I was amazed at what titles were on there.
Yeah. So, you know, it's not going to be the craziness of, oh, hey, the card game came out and everybody lost their mind, and then the game came out and the TV show and all that. But, you know, there's always been this, like, internet cult following of Pokemon. And this is kind of it, like, manifested in one of its like more interesting ways.
Like, observable way.
Yeah.
You're not just saying there's a bunch of crazy people on the internet that are
Pokemon
addicted
fans.
to Pokemon. You're saying, hey, look at this. This is evidence there's a bunch of crazy people on the internet addicted to Pokemon.
I mean, I watched the stream.
Watched it. I never typed anything into the chat window or anything.
I
would
did.
Just sit there and watch it.
I did. Not like, okay, up. But every time, like, you could see the little thing moving towards anarchy, I would throw democracy in a couple of times just to kind of try to sway it the other way. Because the anarchy, the way that it did it, it was just like nothing ever got done. And people always got like...
But that was the easiest way to win the game. Because that made They ground out a bunch of stuff during the Anarchy times.
Yeah, they got their legendary Pokemon up to like level 80 something,
Yeah.
and if you could get it to choose the right attack, it would pretty much one shot almost everything.
Yes.
Which is what I was really hoping for when I was watching last night, but it didn't work.
Yeah. So for one, this is probably going to be the first watershed moment of the Pokemon rebirth.
Yeah, I would
where
think.
Pokemon is no longer just, because in the last 10 years, definitely, I would say even 15 years, Pokemon has returned to its childhood roots.
A little bit, yeah.
Where there are still adults that play Pokemon. I'm not saying there's not, but by and large, the massive amount of popularity of Pokemon is driven by children.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I don't want to say that that's kind of how Nintendo sells a lot of their games still, but a lot of their games are still targeted towards people under a certain age group, and we're not that target demographic.
No. So, but
we still enjoy those games.
Yeah, what you're going to see going forward is prices for basic Pokemon cartridges skyrocket probably. It also hit me that at the same time we're all talking about Twitch Plays Pokemon, Netflix and I forget who the North American distributor is, but came to an agreement that you now have the entire first season of the original Pokemon cartoon that aired in 1997, which I'm excited about.
Because I remember watching that. But
yeah, I loved that show, and I didn't really care for the game when I was that age.
Which was such a waste.
But I had better RPGs to play.
Yeah, well, whatever. Not on your Game Boy. Shut up.
On my Game Boy, Dragon Quest 1 and 2, come on.
Okay.
Dragon Quest 3.
Yeah, but they didn't have monster collecting.
They didn't have Dragon Quest Monsters has monster collecting.
That's a different game.
That's a different game. Anyway, so I had better games to play, but I still liked that show, you know. The fact that it was a serialized, an anime-type show with an ongoing plot and stuff like that. Whereas in the later seasons, you got into, oh, this is just a kid's show, and you can watch the episodes totally out of order and still get it.
There's no
point to it.
I mean, yeah, there was an overarching story, but it didn't really matter. Like it was
actually,
always.
if you watch seasons 3 through 4, no overarching story.
Really?
It's like literally a Monster of the Week thing.
Huh. Okay, well that's dumb. I mean, for at least the first season,
the
and
first
a
season
couple, maybe the second season, but yeah. The rest of the time it was, oh hey, here now we're going to talk about.
Here's Ash and Pikachu meet the one of the rare Pokemons from Pokemon
Silver.
What's after? I'm thinking after, so I'm thinking Game Boy Advance. So Blood Red and Leaf Green.
Yeah, it was like Ruby Red, Leaf Green, and Sapphire Blue.
I wish it was Blood Red.
No, there's no blood in Pokemon.
There's lots of blood in Pokemon.
I think it was what?
It's basically animal fighting 101.
Yeah, it's dog fighting the game.
Yeah. Ash really loves Pikachu, even though he keeps throwing Pikachu in front of bigger and badder monsters that really hurt Pikachu.
Yeah, he doesn't. No, he doesn't care.
Oh.
It's dog fighting for kids. It's terrible.
There's an Ego Raptor cartoon about that, about him not letting Pikachu evolve.
No, I believe the whole part, like as far as the TV show is concerned,
still the best. Pokemon Yellow is still the best Pokemon game.
Well, yeah, because they
Pikachu follows you around. You can talk. You can develop a
emotional attachment
to Pikachu.
Yeah.
And
well, I think in the TV show it wouldn't. The monster, like Pikachu, the character, did not want to evolve into a Raichu. Like that was the whole thing. It was like, no, I don't want to take the stone. He would like bat it away or whatever with his tail.
Okay, well, I have to rewatch it. But the interesting thing, once again, while we're talking about Twitch Pokemon, is that Netflix, a major internet streaming service, paid money to
put it on their streaming service. Yeah.
Even though I think Hulu has it, but now you can watch it without commercials, even after you've paid for it.
Anyway. I don't use Hulu.
Hulu sucks. The fact that you pay for it and they make you watch commercials, it's like, I'm sorry. I've paid enough for
Well, you know, apparently the $8 a month you pay for Hulu isn't enough to cover what it costs them to buy the rights to show all these TV shows.
Yeah, so they charge you more.
Or would you pay more, though? Would you pay $15 a month to watch it?
If they didn't charge you for
if you didn't have to watch commercials, you'd pay. Well, I guess
how much do you pay for Netflix a month?
$8 a month.
Oh, I pay more. I get the discs.
Because I don't get the discs. I don't care.
Yeah. Anywho, yeah, Pokemon is on the verge, the cusp. So I think the two watershed moments are Twitch Plays Pokemon and then this.
And then the Netflix thing.
The Netflix buy to show that, hey, the people that enjoyed this as kids are now in charge.
And are enjoying it as adults. And, you know,
Yeah.
they probably have kids of their own, and they think, oh, this game is awesome. My kids should play this.
Yeah, so I bet you dollars to donuts if you don't see Ruby Red, Sapphire Blue. Sapphire Blue?
I believe it's Sapphire Blue. I don't
Sapphire
remember.
Blue.
I never bought the GBA versions.
Or Leaf Green on
The Virtual Console?
on the GBA Virtual Console, which I still don't understand why that's not for the 3DS. But if you don't see those on the console, then you will definitely see a whatever's beyond Ruby Red, Stoplight Red.
I don't remember what they started calling it. I don't know if they redid Silver or if they just jumped straight into like
Heart Gold
Pearl.
and Soul Silver.
Yeah. Oh, they did. They did redo Gold and Silver then?
Yeah.
Because I have a Silver.
Heart Gold and Soul Silver, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think those were DSs.
Yeah, and then there's another one that's like Pearl and something, and
But the one they have never redone
is Yellow.
Yellow. I bet you're going to see either a re-release on the Virtual Console of this or a full-on
3DS remake of
3DS of Pikachu Yellow.
What would be kind of cool, and I would love to see this, and I would almost buy a Nintendo console for this, if they said, okay, here you can start in the area of red, yellow, and green, and blue. But then you get to like open up the entire world. As you complete these areas, you then have to go to the next area, and you can carry over your monsters. So the world just kind of keeps, you just keep leveling.
Yeah.
So like the first area, everything is under 20, and then the second area, everything is 20 to 40 or whatever. Kind of like an MMO, but still single player, and you still have to do the trading and all that.
No, I think what you would see if anything is, oh shit, that fell out.
Yeah, it did. It's
okay. Like a redone version where it's the same game basically, but they've now added in, I think we're up to 1,000, 1,500 Pokemon.
I don't know how many monsters there are anymore.
They've just added all those guys in.
It's just, here you can catch everybody in this one little area. But if it was that way, you'd be finding new ones every time you got into a random battle almost.
Yeah, but...
I mean, yeah, you'd still find 800 Pidgeys, but for every 5 Pidgeys you found, you'd find like 6 of them from the later generations.
Yeah.
So.
But I think if Nintendo were smart, which once again, we don't know that for sure.
The jury's still out on some of those decisions.
Yeah, they would re-release definitely Yellow, because I think Yellow is the most nostalgic, because it's the one that has to do with
the TV show.
The TV show.
It's a more direct port of the TV show. Well,
yeah.
Port, but it's like the same story. It's a port of a TV show into a video game.
You could choose Ash, and then you have your rival be named Gary.
I think you can do that in the originals as well. Because I remember there being like 4 choices. It would be like Red, Ash, John, and then Custom or something like that. But it's been a while since I played Red or Blue. So.
I know when I was sick over the summer and couldn't get out of bed, this is what I played.
Well, it's a good way to kill a good...
Because you could kind of just lay there and...
good bunch of time, yeah.
But so I think like a lot of people, and this Twitch Plays Pokemon is really ingenious, because as we talked about, with the anarchy democracy, I guess facet, gameplay mechanic.
Yeah.
A lot of people realized that like if we're going to do something, if we're going to go after one of these hard to find Pokemons, we need to become a group.
Yeah, you need to band together, and everybody needs to work on it at the same time.
Yeah, a pseudo, and you need to have people. It needs to be wide ranging, because you need to have people that will do it. When half the world is asleep, the other half
is trying to do this. Well,
so
I mean,
I'd like to talk to you about the Helix fossil.
Yes, I think we spent. I think that I saw a pie chart sometime last week, and it was like time spent grinding, time spent getting badges, time spent looking at the Helix fossil. Because people just kept standing there looking at the Helix fossil, and then out of this weird. Like just this gameplay mechanic, like this chat room religion sprouted up about the Helix fossil. It's ridiculous.
And the amount of GIFs that showed up on Reddit. My favorite is like 2 guys in like khaki shorts, like next to a giant stone helix, and it just says, "We'd like to talk to you about the Helix fossil."
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Or like a shot from like the God shot from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, but instead it's I don't remember
I don't know what it's.
Whatever the Pokemon's name is.
He's just sitting there and he's just like.
Yeah.
And then there's just the little dancing gifs and stuff like that. Oh, it's so silly.
So, and there were actually more religions, not just we're using religion in the broad sense.
Yeah, yeah.
But there were more groups that were not only dedicated to the Helix fossil, there were also ones that were dedicated to like
Eevee and like the legendary birds and all
and
that.
Mew. There was a lot of people that were focused on finding Mewtwo because they were totally convinced that it was hacked into that version of Pokemon. That
I'm pretty sure it was, but I don't know. They should have caught Masingo. Just to catch Masingo and then break the save.
Oh, yeah, but...
No, seriously, that's what happened to my sister's version of Red. She had Masingo, and because it's a glitch, and it will cause memory faults in the cartridge itself, and it will break the cartridge.
Yes.
So I don't know if it would break the ROM or not, but that would just have been funny for somebody to catch that, use it far too much, and then break the game. And then they'd never be able to beat it. But
well, that didn't happen, but...
No, it did not happen, because there's a lot of weird stuff that has to happen with that.
Yes, and which I don't think you would have been able to do.
Not with 80,000 people spamming commands at it.
At a text parser.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, at the end of the day, that's what we are looking at, a pretty basic text parser.
It was pretty good, though. It's pretty fun to watch. Just the constant stream of chat, and then it doubles all the commands into the window.
It made sense. I think there was no other game that you could have done this with, except, and then there's one game that I can think of that you could have done this with, but every other title that has come out in the vast history of video games, there's only one game besides Pokemon that I think you could have done this with.
I want to say, I know they did one with Tetris, but that didn't work out very well.
Well, because the Tetris...
That was kind of dumb.
Was parsing the feed from the Pokemon feed, so that
I
was
think
dumb.
somebody else did the original Legend of Zelda with that, and I can't imagine that because the delay between when you put stuff in and what you're seeing and what it parses, you'd be dead. You wouldn't get past like the first couple of screens all the time.
Yeah, and the one with the Zelda one is people kept going out of the map before getting the first sword.
So you just go up, 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 and then just die.
Yep.
No shield, just dead.
So there's only one other game that I think you could do this with. Dragon Quest, the original Dragon Quest.
Yeah,
because it's a game with no story. Like the only thing that I think you couldn't do in Dragon Quest is get to the second half of the map, because to do that you have to get a torch, go through get a torch, go to the tunnel, light the torch, go through the tunnel.
And is the tunnel like full of traps and stuff, or?
Yeah, going through the tunnel without the light on is dumb.
Well, no, I'm saying if you have the torch, though, like, is it still full of traps and you could just die instantly, or what?
No, it's just you need the torch on to fight monsters inside the tunnel.
Gotcha. Okay.
But that's
yeah, I
the
mean,
only other one besides Pokemon that I could think of.
I could see. I mean,
it's so basic, and it's also a game that does not require Twitch timing. Not Twitch timing. Ah, that's funny.
You know what I mean? But yeah. No, I could say pretty much any JRPG you could do that with. Any turn-based JRPG you could probably play Twitch with.
No, but the problem is there's so many in JRPGs. You know, let's talk about early JRPGs. You know, before active time battle. We'll say that. Even then, even in Final Fantasy, there is so much stuff you have to do in a sequence.
Oh yeah. But I mean, you could get it done. It would just take forever.
Yes. So in Pokemon, you do have to go after the badges in a sort of sequence, but Pokemon gates itself so that if you haven't gone after that badge, you can't go anywhere.
Forward. Yeah. I'm just saying.
The only other game that I can think of that
doesn't have that is Dragon Quest.
Like that is the first Dragon Quest. And the first Dragon Quest, all it does is basically gate you. You can't get to the second half of the island until you figure out to get the torch, go through the tunnel.
And then go through the tunnel. I'm just thinking, like, if you got a dedicated enough people and they were using the same thing, like the anarchy, democracy, or they just straight up put it in a democracy thing, you could totally have Twitch playing, you know, Phantasy Star 4, and they could beat the game, because it does gate you, and you can only do certain stuff at certain times. But
and it's not a Twitch, it's not a reaction.
Yeah, you don't have to react to, you know, what's going on. There's no like blocking or anything like that. The only thing that would suck is when you died, your last save is where you would start over again. Whereas with Pokemon, it just knocks you out, puts you outside of the gym or wherever it was you were at, and then you just bring all your Pokemon back to life at the center.
Which brings us back to Dragon Quest, because when you die, you just wake up with no life. I mean, no money, and
you just wake up barren.
Well, but you wake up at the main castle.
Yeah.
Tintagel Castle.
So, I mean, it could be done. May not be done as well as Pokemon, but it could be done other places. But it was a really cool like experiment just to see how long it would take Twitch and as the community to beat this game.
Yeah, would this work?
That's working. It's fine. It's picking you up. So yeah, it was a really neat thing, and I'm glad they did it, and I'm fairly certain it's still running. I think they're just going to keep playing until all their monsters are either A, released, or B, 100.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But they did have a nice...
really cool, and I think it's a good... I want to keep coming back to this. It's a good watershed moment to say, like, this is probably the beginning of...
The Pokemon rebirth?
When Pokemon becomes retro.
You know, you probably. I mean,
you know how
it's
in the
been...
last couple years, you know, I would say in the last 10 to 15 years, we've been seeing...
It's been almost 20 years.
Companies like Namco selling their old arcade cabinets again, and like the Miss Pac-Man Galaga cabinet. You know, I think they call it the Class of 81 or something.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know, they make new Pong games to go in bars. Pac-Man Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Which is a cool game that you find in bars now.
The 4-player monstrosity it is. Yeah.
Which it sucks that like the final home version of that doesn't work well.
Well, it works okay for like 1 or 2 people, but for 4 people, it's
so
kind
laggy, that they said. I wonder if you can do local. I think that would be the best way to play that.
Probably.
But so once again, I mean, it's kind of cool and interesting that Twitch Plays Pokemon happened when it did.
Yeah, it is. It's you know, maybe that contributed to, you know, Netflix and whoever coming up with the...
Oh, I highly doubt. I mean, I imagine that was...
it was probably in the works, but I'm sure that
was in the works.
That may have tipped...
I doubt it.
It didn't tip the scales? Okay. I like to think that gaming has a far-reaching...
No.
No? Okay.
We'll see you next week.